I can't speak for Paige or for Martin or for anybody else, but personally, I don't have anything against you. I really don't. But as long as you keep trying to get away with sneaky, shady shit and just do and say things that just all around are not fucking okay and are unacceptable to the community as a whole, you're gonna continue to get a negative response in return. That's just common sense. You can call it whatever you want, you can try and twist it and turn it and make yourself the victim or what the fuck ever, but no one is buying it anymore. And I think you know that, and I think you're kind of freaking the fuck out about it, to be honest. You seem like you're grasping for any straws that you can find to try and get your name out there and stay relevant. And you're gonna be faced with two options. Either own up to your shit and apologize for it, or you're gonna cross that line that cannot be uncrossed, and you're gonna get yourself into something that you can't get yourself out of, and you're gonna really end up screwing yourself over at that point.
So the grand finale, it's a culmination of, it's when everything hits the fan. It's when all of the lies, all of the cheating, all of the deception, all of the truth, actually I shouldn't say all of it because you'll never know. The odds are you will never know the full truth. A good chunk of the truth, enough of the truth, comes to the surface that is just absolutely crazy. Again, I kind of refer to this as the lifetime TV movie part of the relationship. When you're going through it, and even people that are watching you go through this, they're thinking, this doesn't happen to people. Like, this is so crazy. What is really going on here? Especially if you're dating or you're in a relationship with a covert narcissist who's incredibly charming. People probably really like them. They probably really trust them. So they're probably going to think that you're exaggerating, or they're going to find it really hard to believe that this is really indeed happening. The difference with the grand finale is they know that the gig is up. Something major has happened, and the mask hasn't just slipped, it's completely fallen off. So now they're really not trying to do damage control anymore. You're seeing them in all of their horrible glory. You're seeing that lack of remorse, that lack of empathy, the lying, the cheating, the stealing, all of it all at once. It's almost like looking straight into the sun. It's like just too much. It's too unreal. Victims, there's other things that go along with this. There's oftentimes a smear campaign, which is always common in the narcissistic relationship cycle. It allows them to maintain their social status. It allows them to maintain their public identity, especially if you're with a covert narcissist who's incredibly charming. They're banking on that public identity. That's how they're getting their ego fed. They get their ego fed from coming across as this amazing human being. If that goes away, then they are pushed into a corner and they become very erratic. They become very unpredictable. Victims are at the greatest risk of danger when they go to leave. I always encourage people to just really hope for the best, but plan for the worst when it comes to a narcissist, because you just don't know what they are capable of. You really, really, really don't.
Hi! Welcome back to my channel where I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. Now, I know I said in my last video that the next video to follow would be more of a happy video, but I guess that's not really the case. This is a video that you guys have really, really wanted me to talk about and make, and this is a video that I have wanted to stand up and speak about. I'm just going to explain a few things that I've been made aware of, a bit of exactly what happened, my opinion, and how I feel about it and how insanely fucked up every single aspect of it is. This will loosely include events that followed regarding Rich Lux and Karina Kaboom, since when the first video came out, they were very much a part of this. Why it had to take something as horrible as what John is doing to Peter right now for the masses to finally kind of open their eyes and open their mouths and stand up and say that we're not buying your fucking bullshit anymore. As I'm sure everyone is already aware, John put out the last two videos effectively of what he would call his career. He finally stepped over that one line that you can never ever come back from. Hindsight is 20, is it not? Because Peter has repeatedly asked any creators making a video about this topic to not include footage of the original video and to not link it anywhere, you're not going to be seeing that footage in this video, and I will not be including any links of where to find it. We all know the words that were said in the picture that he so desperately tried to paint for everybody. Unfortunately for him, paintings are quite literally another thing he can't successfully accomplish. Now, John has said many times that Peter's blog hosted very inappropriate and porn-like images and reposts. He especially emphasized that all of the pictures depicting sexual acts between two men, I guess somehow failing to realize that the rest of the adult world watches porn at one time or another. Posting those next to selfies was just totally abhorrent, even dangerous predatory-like behavior. It's almost like he's never fucking heard of Tumblr before. I mean, it's not like if you click on almost literally anybody else's Tumblr that you'll see GIFs and pictures and reblogs of sexual images or sexual depictions. Like, we are all adults here, correct? Or, I mean, let's just be real. You've watched porn, I've watched porn, Peter's watched porn, John has. And I'm sure, as maybe most of you may know by now, John has a Tumblr of his own. And upon learning this information, I took a little stroll down lethaldick.tumblr.com avenue. Like if he has sex with you, then his dick is, Now, I must warn you, according to John himself, his blog posts contain many, many dangerous, sexually deviant, and even perverted images.
What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me you're a liar! And a hypocrite!
Now, what exactly was it that John said? Word for word. If you see any hard evidence of a man that works with children running a secret blog posting pictures of kids in partial nudity alongside straight up porn, you honestly deserve to rot in hell. Okay. So John likes to tell everybody that he's this big CEO of a luxury makeup brand, right? And who exactly is his target audience and biggest demographic? The people who actually do, or used to, interact with him, buy his cosmetics, review his products, or work with him, one could say. Now, what was that again? If you see hard evidence of a man that works with children in any capacity, right? Well, I mean, I don't know. John is famous for not providing any context for things whatsoever. So we'll just stab in the dark here, just like he did. Running a secret blog, posting pictures of kids in partial nudity alongside straight up porn. Would you look at that? It's a literal child. Well, that's a bit awkward, isn't it? After this little plan that John thought up and his buddies co-signed, to his surprise, some fucking how, it blew the fuck up in his face. I cannot emphasize this more. I mean, this was fuckery of epic proportions. Let's just see how this master plan translated to the YouTube community, shall we?
Liar, liar, plants for hire.
It's pants on fire, Patrick.
Well, you would know. Liar.
No, it gets better. So after phase 1 of his genius plan was shot down and burnt to an unrecognizable crisp, he did what John always does when he's caught, undeniably 110%, no question about it, lying, and he doubled down and came out with totally legitimate conversations between Peter and... Right, he never gave a name or a face or any indication that this is a real person that exists. And it's honestly just so laughable that I really don't think that anyone can even act like they took that seriously. I mean, the sentence structure, the verbiage, if you have ever even spoken in passing to Peter, it will be almost laughable to you. That's just how ridiculous the extent of all of this is. You know, sure, we can kind of laugh at the absurdity about it now, but the situation in itself is not funny whatsoever. And it really does cross a line that you just can't come back from. I mean, if you've ever wanted a more exaggerated, typical fuckboy-esque joke of a conversation that would have just never taken place in any kind of alternate reality, like, who fucking talks like that? Who talks like that? Peter? Are you fucking serious? Because I have honestly yet to see one single solitary example, a screenshot, or anything of the like, in which the same way of speaking, sentence structure, or anything is shown to be a way that Peter has ever spoken in his entire life, ever. And gee, I don't know, I feel like things such as evidence in a case like this is almost needed, maybe? Otherwise, I think they call that slander, defamation, or libel. You know about that, right, John? After doubling and tripling down, which is something I didn't even know was possible to do, on his hate campaign towards Peter, everyone started looking around John and his circle of buddies that had no problem whatsoever just pretending like none of this ever happened. As if it was inconceivable that those around you who personally co-sign your behavior wouldn't also be held in some accountability. And those two people, and I do mean the only two people around John Kuckian, was Rich Lux and Karina Kaboom. Now, I clocked Rich about a year ago, and in the midst of said fuckery, I noticed some shadiness that was being excused by many and overlooked by almost all. It started with the friendship he had to keep on the down low with Ashley Kyle, because John Kuckian is number one and everyone else is somewhere down here.
I got a Valentine's Day card in the mail. I know a few other YouTubers who got Valentine's Day cards in the mail that his friends wouldn't approve of. But my card is the only one that said specifically on it, "Please do not show this online. It will just start drama." Are you serious?
I'm gonna take this outside because I think they can bring cameras outside.
And a year ago, some people didn't like that very much. The same behaviors that have been exhibited recently were also exhibited back then. John being at the top of the priority list, and him never having to either A, take accountability for fucking anything, and B, he never had to worry about the other two bigger drama channels on the platform ever making a negative video about him. Ever. Or even simply disagreeing with him on a public platform. Now, what does that remind you of? And for those of you who are listening and thinking, look, what do they have to do with it exactly? It's not fair to hold them all accountable for John's fuckery. And this is why I'm bringing this up. Because of his lack of anyone in his life ever telling him exactly what the fuck is up and holding his ass accountable, he has been allowed to believe in the idea that he is, in fact, invincible. John doesn't have consequences for his actions. John will never lose his partners in crime, no matter what unacceptable and frankly disgusting things he says and does. There are literally hundreds of videos on YouTube alone, mine included, documenting his behaviors, his actions, his lies, scams, frauds, taking advantage of people, trying to destroy people he doesn't like, trying to destroy their lives, their mental health, with irrefutable proof attached to it over the past almost 2 years. It has taken this long and for something like this to happen. For his delusion to finally be broken and for the real world to enter back into his personal space. It has taken not only Peter Mon, but Sanders, Danny Mansudi, Nikki Tutorials, Laura Lee, Manny, Jeffree Star, Jacqueline Hill, Dustin, Paige, me, Martin, Christine, James Charles, Charles Gross, and that is to name a fucking few, to get to where we are now. And that accountability falls on John and the enablers around him, whether you necessarily like it or not. So here is how I feel about Rich and Karina and the events that have occurred between the three of them since this has all happened. I do not and never will condone sending somebody hate. I do not see the logic in adapting the very behavior that you are rightfully demonizing another for and throwing it back at them and those involved. It makes you no better than them and negates everything up until that point. And now that we as an entire community have finally left John and his contagious toxicity in the dark where they belong, I'm not willing to void all of that just to get a few low blows in. You know what I mean? It's not worth the progress that this community has made together. That's not to say that anyone gets off with a free pass either. As an empath, I cannot help that my heart goes out a little bit to Rich because it's obvious and visible that he's affected by this and that his mental health is affected by this. I get the anxiety it's bringing. I get that the hate hurts. But here's my thing. How do you think Peter feels? How do you think Peter has felt this entire time? How do you think the hundreds of death threats that he has, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is still receiving every hour of the day, has affected his mental health, has affected his entire life outside of the internet? How sick to his stomach do you think he has to be every time his phone goes off or anytime he gets a notification on any of his many, many platforms? That knot in your stomach never alleviating no matter what you do. Having no appetite, having no enjoyment for anything because you're fucking terrified to.
I am literally so angry right now that I'm like shaking. And I don't even know, you guys, what to say at this point. I made a video yesterday in response to the allegations that were made towards me. I really cannot believe this is my reality right now. You guys, I cannot believe this is my reality. I cannot even say the word that is associated with my name right now. It is so shameful to me. It is so embarrassing. I did not sleep last night. I woke up today and I was like, okay, I have to go get some Christmas shopping done. I haven't done any Christmas shopping whatsoever this year, and I know that this is first world problems, but I'm like, go out, put some Christmas music on, enjoy your day, and I'm like out, and all these people start messaging me telling me that Rich Lux put up this video. All right. So if you're coming to my channel and you don't know what I'm talking about, listen, I'm sorry that I don't have great lighting today. I'm sorry that I didn't have time to do my hair and wear a fucking hat and I got a crappy ass old gray t-shirt or sweatshirt on. I'm sorry I didn't have time to do my makeup like Rich Lux and set up my whole setting for his how emotionally upset video he is. But I sat here and I watched this video called It's Not Okay by Rich Lux. And let me tell you something, Rich, you're right. It's not okay. I had to pull over to watch this video, and I was so upset watching this video about Rich Lux, okay? I said in my video yesterday that Rich Lux and Karina Kaboom are co-signing what is happening to me. And if I alluded to it yesterday, let me make it very, very clear to you. Rich Lux is co-signing what is happening to me. And there is no doubt in my mind. I am so furious right now. Yesterday, I said, I'm going to get down on my knees and I'm going to pray for these people. My Christmas is ruined, okay? They have won. Yet again, I have another Christmas that is ruined 2 years in a row because of these motherfuckers out there that want to take me down. I had to watch a 5-minute video from Rich Lux talking about how he's getting death threats from people and how he doesn't condone this behavior and how he has a history of all this kind of stuff. Well, let me tell you something, Rich, okay? Imagine being called a pedophile. Imagine getting death threats, because you aren't getting that kind of comment. And then on top of that, having people say, you should die, you should shoot yourself, your dog doesn't deserve to live, your husband should leave you, you should kill yourself. Why are you even alive, you disgusting human being? I have received non-stop messages in the last 24 hours. The love and support that I have received is overwhelming from people. I honest to God did not know that many people gave a shit about me. I have received countless messages from major YouTubers that have thanked me for standing up for myself and saying that the platform of YouTube is not meant for this kind of bullying and hatred. I have received personal messages, texts, and calls from every person in the drama community, with the exception of Karina Kaboom and Rich Lux. Now, Karina, I have never had a conversation with. I have never really talked to her, so I don't expect it from her, okay? But Rich Lux and I have a history, so let's talk about that history for a second. So that when you guys want to sit there and talk about how nice Rich Lux is, and how funny Rich Lux is, and how he does good to the world, let's talk about Rich Lux for a second, all right? So you all know the facts. And when you come to me and you say, I thought you guys were okay, you're right, I thought we were okay. I thought Rich Lux might have my back on this one. I thought Rich Lux might have my back and see the light about his good friend John Kuckian. Finally, like hundreds of other people are seeing. But apparently, that's not the case. Apparently, the need for likes and views and money and luxury and Louis Vuitton is too fucking important to him to stand up and do something right. And I'm not asking him to do it. I'm not asking him to stand up against his friend. I'm not asking him to make a drama channel video. I'm asking him to do what is right. And I'm sorry, I don't think that's a lot to ask of a fellow human being.
It's like living in a cage that somebody else built around you without your permission and without you even knowing about it and without being guilty of a crime. At the end of the day, you get back out of this world what you put into it. If you associate yourself with snakes, with inside and out bad people, if you co-sign their actions, they're hurting others, and yes, silence in this case very much is complicity, you will get bitten. Nobody's hands are clean here. Let's just be real about that. If you involve yourself in bad shit and you know about bad shit that's going on and that's happening to good people and you do nothing to stop it, you cannot sit down and cry victim when that bad shit comes back to bite you in the ass tenfold. You just can't. Rich has since reached out to Peter personally and supposedly publicly disassociated himself from John Kuckian, and that is fucking fantastic. I give him mad props for that, and I'm honestly, from the bottom of my heart, really proud of him for making that decision. I'm saddened that it took something this horrible and for shit to be taken to such a level for that common sense to kind of kick in, but here we are, and I'm glad we are. Personally, I don't have anything against Rich Lux. I never have. I have had a problem with his behavior while being associated to John, and thus emulating much of the same behavior towards people who cared for him as well. Those things I have had a problem with. As far as this goes, I really do hope that he's being honest and will stay the fuck away from John, if not for the sake of saving and continuing his own career, because he's good at what he does and he is entertaining. And I would really hate to see someone as small and insignificant as John inject his poison into that and ruin it because he has nothing, so therefore no one around him can have anything either. That is how it works with people like that. As far as Karina Kaboom goes, I think she's pretty much put that puzzle together for us since all of this started. As she has in the past, she ducked her head down in cowardice and just pretends like nothing ever happened. She put out a few videos since, I believe. To be honest, I don't really watch her, so I don't really know. And shockingly, not one single word has been said about John, Peter, or her supposedly best buddy Rich that was being thrown under the bus for the both of them, and who even made 3 or 4 maybe videos of his own about this. But nope, not a single word. That's good, friend. Instead of replying to the floods of people on her Instagram wanting an answer, a video, a statement, absolutely fucking anything, she deleted her account and disappeared off YouTube for a little while. Honestly, I really don't see much of a point in giving her any camera time at all because she gives no other discourse but John's narratives any of her time, and you get what you give, Karina. Simple as that. I'm sure everyone knows the video that Sanders has put out about her and since taken down, and her actions toward him last year, which, funny part about that situation and the situation with John and Peter is...
So let's talk about some other stuff that Sanders has done. So, you know, he's done a lot of really vile and vicious things to other YouTubers. There's a YouTuber who used to be a male model. He no longer is. And, you know, Sanders really hated him, and they had like some kind of a beef and a problem. So Sanders posted a video, which he took down like in 30 minutes, basically talking about this guy's nude pictures, and those were taken when he was under age 16. So Sanders was embroiled in a huge child porn scandal because he basically posted in his description box links to that YouTuber's child porn, which was outrageous. Like, who does that? You guys know how I feel about child porn. You should never ever be involved in that. It's illegal, immoral, and absolutely deplorable to hurt children that way. So Sanders just showed that YouTuber's child porn.
Seems to me like her and her BFF John have a nasty little habit of accusing people they don't like of crimes, and not just any crimes, but crimes relating to children, exploiting, or preying upon children. So I'd go ahead and venture a guess that her and John are probably reading off about the same script. Don't like someone? Accuse them of being a pedophile. You know, the worst possible thing that you can think of to destroy that person and everything around them. Or just harass them until they have a mental fucking breakdown on camera. But as karma would have it, that exact same thing is happening to the two of them by the ripples created by their own fucking actions. See, John has a cycle when he tries to pull bullshit like this. First phase is doing a complete 180 on the person and coming at them in the most malicious and calculated ways possible. And while this is happening, he is always either the poor innocent victim or the white knight we are all blessed to be in the presence of. Second phase is John being called out, completely debunked and challenged on his own bullshit, and in response he doubles down and typically will come up with something that he somehow forgot the last time that is 10 times worse than the first thing he said, you know, to add shock value. But it is totally legitimate, of course, titty femme. And the third and fourth phase always look something exactly like this. He'll start to slither off of all of his social medias, except for usually Snapchat for some reason, where he'll start to incite self-pitying posts here and there. Then there'll be some kind of crazy story that makes no sense in any actual real life situation. Or he'll be sick, or insomnia, or oh, I haven't slept in 32 days. Oh, I just don't take care of myself because I worked so hard for you guys. So I can't possibly take responsibility for my past actions because somehow my entire psyche and judgment were impaired, even though I seemed completely coherent when I was filming, editing, exporting, uploading, and posting on my channel, then privating it, then tweeting out the link, calling Peter a pedophile, then responding to people telling you that you're an actual, literal, in every way a walking, talking, cringe, twerking piece of human garbage, like then deleting them, oh, because you know you're a fucking coward. Or in your Snapchats every single day. When I went to the mall, got some champagne, and about every day posting a barrage of snaps delusionally justifying my disgusting behavior and inciting more hate towards Peter and everyone standing up for him. But yeah, no, he was clearly totally, completely incapacitated that entire time somehow and cannot have any accountability whatsoever. It makes so much fucking sense now. I mean, come on, have we all not had the same situation at one point or another? I think I've said all I really have to say about Rich and Karina. But as for John, I still have a few bones to pick with you. See, I'm lucky enough to have become especially close with someone who worked side by side with John in his brand and was a personal friend of his last year around the time, ironically, that the problems between him and Peter started. Like I said, John creates his own reality, and the actions he takes and decisions he makes are calculated. And they're done with only the intention to destroy whoever is in his sights at the moment, or to in some way benefit himself. He surrounds himself with people he knows are easily manipulated and easily controlled, and he surrounds himself with people that will always put him first and never stand up for themselves out of fear and never allowing them to take the spotlight for any reason. He's pretty much like a fucking vulture, or one of his favorite words, a fucking predator. Hey John, you remember that one time your main admin and more or less business partner at the time, who created your little cult group for you, which you later created a new group, stealing it right out from under her, and was on call for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for fucking free, who is taking her daughter to the police station to give a report for her sexual assault? Remember that? Not worthy of a response, I guess, when you could be talking about John instead. Even though that's a super duper sensitive topic and hits real close to home for you, right? You seem pretty unbothered by it in any other context other than the one that you have now created surrounding Peter. Kind of weird how all of a sudden it's a super sensitive topic for you to discuss, but back then when it was brought up and from somebody that you worked extremely closely with and was somebody that you supposedly cared for, didn't even respond. Not a sad face. Not a, oh, I love you, titty fam. Not a fucking word. Every move he makes is planned and you either are with it or you're out of the Titty Fam cult group. If you even watched Jeffree Star's video, liked a tweet, or God forbid expressed your love for his cosmetics publicly, you are not allowed in. If you're a competition, another drama channel, even a reaction channel for some reason, or somebody he just generally felt threatened by, you were not allowed in the group. That is a perfect example of how fragile this person actually is and how easily he feels threatened by other people. Rich and Karina, of course, were allowed in, and since John and Dustin were friends at the time, and he was in no way competition, he was pleased enough to let him in as well. And those aren't the only receipts. John claims he's worked on his formulas for years. It was his whole world, that he's planned to have his own cosmetics company for as long as he can remember. It was always the plan, completely genuine, never was in it for the money, never was in it to take advantage of people, just truly cared for his spoonies and his cookie fam. But that's just not the case. I think John has made a fatal mistake in thinking that the past is long forgotten and what hasn't come to the light by now never will. That people who haven't spoken up probably never will. But that's just not the case either. Money was always the top priority. Status and popularity were always the top priority. His beloved long-time, years in the making company was never even a passing thought until just very recently. Right up until about the time he got away with extorting money from creators, blackmailing people, threatening people, doxing people, trying to hack people, taking advantage of spoonies with fucking brain tumors. Remember that one, John? I sure do. So does she. And even when one of his own cookie fam is desperately struggling and threatens to take their own life, couldn't be bothered. And yeah, there are receipts. Dun, dun, dun. In the meantime, I have a few recovery episodes coming out after this video, and along with easily the most requested videos ever in the history of this channel,
Makeup.
fucking makeup. I know. I'm excited too. You don't even have to say anything. As much as you guys and I love finding the many loopholes and flaws in John's bullshit and in his arguments, it's hard to constantly be surrounding yourself with that, because after a while, especially with someone like John, you really do start to feel it like seeping into your soul almost. I don't really know how to explain it. You feel the bad energy literally seeping into you as a human being and affecting your mood and your entire vibe. I don't like to be in a constant state of frustration and anger and disgust and disbelief. Maybe it works for John, doesn't work for me. And I really hope that as a community we can all continue to stand together and put this bullshit to bed once and for all. I hope that you don't let his negative and hateful energy drag you down, because misery loves company, and I have not seen somebody as miserable as he is in a long time. And at the end of the day, what a sad existence that must be. By the way, I just wanted to thank all of you guys from the bottom of my heart for all of the love and support that you have sent me over the past month. And I hope that you're having a good day or night wherever you're at. And don't forget, your vibe attracts your tribe. Bye.
With covert narcissists, I don't agree with a lot of the definitions that are floating out around there. I don't think that they're insecure. I don't think that they have a low self-esteem. I think that they have the exact same personality traits as an overt narcissist, but they just go about it in a different way. They hide it better. So they have a huge ego. That's what narcissism is. They do everything they do is to feed their ego. Everything is about power and control. They just go about it in a different way. To me, I view covert narcissists as the wolf in sheep's clothing. These narcissists tend to come across as they're very much all about other people. They're kind, they're generous, they volunteer, they're active in a church, they're okay playing a seemingly supportive role. They need that ego fed, and they get their ego fed by everybody else thinking that they're just this absolutely amazing person. These types of narcissists take a while to uncover, because they can oftentimes come across as a valuable team player. The second narcissist I dated, Steve, everybody loved him. There was no obvious red flags about him. When you were to first meet him, you have to really get to know him well. He was involved with all kinds of shady people. A lot of his family was no longer talking to him. He was an absolute pathological liar. They're very much the same. In my opinion, they all lie. They all cheat. Well, the vast majority of them cheat. They steal. The vast majority of them steal. They mooch off others in some way, shape, or form. There's just a lot of this entitlement-driven behavior. That relationship's gonna run the exact same cycle, because these people don't change, they just get worse with time. That's an example of a grand finale. So it's just all of this craziness that comes down the pike all at once. And the victim probably I know for me, when this happened to me, I started feeling like, you know, you really see that lack of empathy, that lack of remorse, and it's absolutely terrifying because it makes it crystal clear that you do not know who you've been sharing a bed with. And this person's totally unpredictable. They could possibly be violent. You just have no idea because their lack of regard, they just do not care at all about you, about your feelings, about your life, about the relationship, any of it. It's terrifying when that happens.